With the Celtics season just 1 week away from starting, the Celtics team has finally started to cut down their training camp roster and ship players either off to Maine or to another team. And also, I'm going to be talking about today is Al Horford and whether or not the hate is justified after one preseason game. Some people are calling him washed, and I don't understand that moniker or anything talking about him in that sense of way. Without further ado, man, this is another episode of Celtics Digest. I'm your host, Godfrey Sympre. Let's cut all the crap and let's get right into it. But before we get right into it, I just want to say subscribe if you're new for all your latest Celtics rumors, trades, and everything in between. And be sure to stay for my rant on why I think we should not be worrying about Al Horford. But before we get into that particular topic right there, I just want to talk about some Celtics roster updates. There's been a ton of things that have been happening. We're shaping down the roster, going down to our 15-man rotation for the season, and with that news, that means there's going to be a bunch of players that are going to be either leaving or going to different teams or going to the main Celtics. Now, the first three people have been waived, and these players are most likely going to be main bound. Now, we're talking about Ron Harper Jr., Jay Scrubb, and Hassan Ward. A lot of these players didn't see a lot of playing time. Jay Scrubb just coming off a torn ACL, so we didn't see a lot of him during the preseason. But Ron Harper Jr., we saw a bunch of him in Summer League and during the preseason. At the beginning, he didn't play a lot during the end when they were getting their roster shaping up. And I'm very excited to see what these players can do in Maine. But the last person I want to talk about right now is definitely going to be Lonnie Walker. Now, there's been a bunch of news talking about Lonnie Walker in these past couple of hours, just because he's the only Exhibit 10 contract player left on the roster currently. So that means they have a decision to make on him, and they can either wait until 5 p.m. tomorrow, which is Saturday, or they can make that decision today. We don't know what's going to happen or what's likely to happen just yet, but we do know that, one, he was in the facility today getting some shots up for practice, so we know that as of right now, he's still on the team because he was at the facility. And Joe Mazzulla had these comments to say about him today, saying that he's had a good training camp, he liked his attitude, he loved his work ethic, and that just looking for the advantage that he had, and he was really as good as you can ask for, as someone could ask for in that training camp process. And those are good things to hear, especially in the predicament that Lonnie Walker is in. He's someone that is very hungry to play, very much wants to be on the team, and there's a possibility that he could be in the G League after spending so much time in the NBA, going to the G League. But as long as he's playing hard, he had a great game during the preseason where he scored 20 points. So I'm definitely expecting, something about him to come out in the near future. We know Brad doesn't like to have a full 15-man roster just in case, something happens during the season so they can pick up someone or possibly make a trade. But with the new salary cap, everything that's going on with the salary cap, the second apron, we don't know whether or not what's the possibility. He could possibly hold on to Lonnie. He could possibly just ship him, bring him to Maine for a while, just keep him there just in case something happens during the season. But I think that's going to be interesting. So we should get some news around possibly tonight, maybe either Saturday morning. When I'm recording this, it's Friday. So yeah, possibly Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, but sometime before 5 p.m. And it's still very much up in the air. We don't know what could possibly happen, whether he stays or whether he does go. But all that we know at the moment is that he is currently still on the team. He was at practice today. Now, this brings up my next point that I want to talk to you guys about today is Al Horford washed after one game. And I can't believe I'm even talking about this with you guys today. Now, we're going to see here, Al Horford is one of the top 100 players in the league this year. He was named. He was at 90, one of the lower 90 spots. And I can't believe, so during his first preseason game, Al Horford didn't have the best game. That was his first game, just getting his legs under him. And I saw this interesting article that came from Nesson just saying, should Celtics fans be worried about Al Horford? Now, during this game. He obviously didn't have the best game, but it was his first preseason action. He shot 1 for 6 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, and he just had 2 rebounds and 1 assist in 23 minutes. And his plus minus was during that game minus 29. Now, they only lost by 1 point during this game, but that's besides the point. It's a preseason game. None of this really matters that much. It's just getting the legs underneath him. And someone like Al Horford, who hasn't, had the much game experience during the preseason, obviously, he's not going to be having that much of a great game because he hasn't been in that 5v5 actual game time environment. And I just can't believe that I saw this article and people were saying, oh, should we be worried about him? People are saying that, maybe age is getting to him. And I don't see that at all. Al Horford is one of those players, like, he's getting older in age, but I don't think it's a problem to where he comes out in this first preseason game and it's something that we should be worrying about. Obviously, when you watch these preseason games, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. We see these players that have great games that don't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things during the preseason. And that's why we always got to be mindful to ourselves that these are just preseason games. The season hasn't started yet. And we know Al Horford is going to have a big role at the beginning of the season, especially with Kristaps Porziņģis not being able to play with his injury. So just because he had one bad game in the preseason should not cause anyone to stress at all. And I'm going to say that again. Just because a player has one bad preseason game doesn't mean that you need to stress at all about the player coming into the season. We've seen plenty of players have bad summer leagues, bad preseason games, and be automatically written off for the complete entire season just because of these practice games. At the end of the day, these are just practice games. I completely think Al Horford is going to be completely fine for this season. And he said he did have these couple quotes from NBC Sports Boston that he gave out. He said it felt good. It felt good just to be out there, be part of the game, get up and down, get a feel back for it. Pretty happy with being back. And he's talking about his conditioning. He says I think I'm in a good place as the season continues to go. The good thing is we have a week until as the season continues to go, the good thing is that we have a week until we start. So I'll continue to prepare and be in a better place. Now, with the season starts in a week, the only thing you can do is just get better, get in better shape. And I expect Al Horford is going to be completely fine for the first game against the Knicks. Ring night, that's going to be a very important game. I don't expect there to be many problems. Especially, everyone's going to say, oh, he needs to be better at this. He's one of our cornerstone pieces now since he came back in 2021, 2022. And we know everything that's with age and all these players, they get worse as they get older. But Al Horford has been able to mold his game year after year after year. Now, when he was with the Hawks, at the beginning stages of his career, he was very much a back to the basket player. But he was able to evolve himself as the years go on, playing with these other teams, and especially coming with the Celtics with his improved and revamped three-point shot. I think he's going to be able to adapt, especially as he gets older and older. Just because he's, possibly thinking about retirement in the next couple of seasons doesn't mean he's going to retire at his absolute worst. I still think he has some great basketball left in him. And, I'm just going to show the stats and show you guys why I think this. So last year, he averaged 8.6 points, 6.4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and a block a game, shooting 51% from the field and 41% from three. Now, these are great statistical numbers. We know that the points and everything are not as high as they used to be for Al Horford, but the statistical numbers, shooting 41% from three, 51% from the field, these are good numbers to look at. Having a blocky game, he affects the game in more ways than one, and that's what we all like to see. And I definitely think, regardless of what happens going into the season, I know that Al Horford is not going to be quote-unquote washed. And I can't believe that people are even having this debate, talking about it after a singular preseason game. We all need to make sure we take every preseason game with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, they are just practice games to get the players in shape. Everything will be for certain when we get into the real game starting next week. And I can't believe, I'm super excited that the NBA season is back, and I know you guys are too. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments about Al Horford, about the moves that we've made today, and what could possibly happen to Lonnie Walker this season. Will he be on the Celtics main roster? Will he be going up to Maine? Or will he be on another team for the foreseeable future? Let me know what you guys think down below. Have a good one. Thank you, guys.